Welcome back to the channel. Just another morning commute video. Today's Thursday. It's my last day of work for the week. Got a nice long weekend ahead of me. But every weekend is a long weekend, which is nice. 3-day weekends are the jazz. I love it. Best schedule I've ever worked my entire life. 4/10s. It's crazy. I love it. So, this little update for you guys. This in this local area, we just had a bunch of wildfires. We've had 3 wildfires in the vicinity in the county in the last week and a half, and one of them was dubbed the Green Acres Fire. You know, they always name catastrophes, you know, like acts of nature that try to kill all of us. They always name them. And tornadoes and not tornadoes, but hurricanes are named after people for some reason. Well, wildfires are named after like towns. Like in 2015, we had the Carlton Complex fire in this area, and it was right when I got out of the Air Force and came back home, basically. And it wiped out, like, I mean, just Google it. Google the 2015 Carlton Complex fires. And I mean, that one was crazy. But last week or earlier this week, we've had the Green Acres Fire, named after the road in Omak, Washington, where it started. The fire lasted 2 days, 3 days. They actually mopped it up really quick because it was threatening an airport that they use to fight other fires. You know, a small little local airport they use to fly planes in and out of for medevacs and water tenders and all that jazz. But my parents' old house, the one that they used to live in, burnt down in that fire. Here are some pictures. So, my dad called me when I was at work and was talking to me about it. And, I mean, luckily, no one was in it when it burned down. Obviously, no one was hurt, and that's what's most important. But, I know my dad was feeling a certain way about it because he had some old motorcycles in the barn that burned down on the property. But luckily, I got Project Clyde, the 73 Triumph, out of there about a month ago. So that's just good timing. But in talking to my dad, it was interesting. You know, resilience is a pretty cool concept, I think. To me, resilience is just a testament to the human mind. The amount of bullshit that certain people seem to be required to go through in this life only makes you stronger. You know, if it doesn't get you, it makes you who you are. Everyone is a product of their environment. You know, and I don't care how estranged you are from your parents or how close you are to your parents. If you were raised by someone, and they don't even have to be biologically yours, it has to be proximity. I think proximity has a lot to do with it. Like me, I take after my mom and my dad. Personality wise, looks, and of course all that jazz, but personality wise is what I'm talking about. So like I'm a pretty goofy person. I like to make people laugh. My older brother Richard, he is a goofy dude. He loves to make people laugh. And we get that from both sides of my family, my mom and my dad, but mainly my dad. Now I'm going to give you guys a quick story as to my dad's sense of humor. Growing up, my dad, and I don't know if this is a stroke of parental genius or him just being a smart ass, but my dad used to tell us kids that Moonlight would give your bare skin warts. And I don't know if he said it in just in passing just to be funny, but he said it in such a dry way that I believed him. You know, and I was pretty young when he told me this, but he's like, yeah, son, if you go outside and your skin's uncovered and it's a full moon out, I mean, it's just gonna give you warts. And that freaked me out, because I had a buddy at that age who had a lot of warts, like on his fingers and stuff, because that's where it's most common. Cut to, I am 16 years old. I am on a date with a young lady. We're all outside. It's dark out. I think you know where this is going. It's a full moon. And her friends are playing this stupid game called Kick the Can, which, I mean, it's got to be some type of local thing. I don't know. It's weird. So to give you the premise on Kick the Can, there's a can in the middle of the road, and you must kick it. That's it. That's the game. You kick a can, either way. So we're kicking the can, said can, and it's a full moon out, and I look up and I see the full moon, and I'm wearing a long sleeve sweater, and I was like, oh shit, and I pull my sleeves down. The chick I was dating at the time just kind of looked at me, and she was like, what are you doing? And I was just like, oh, well, it's a full moon out, you know. And she just was like, oh, what? And a couple of the friends that were all hanging out with us were like, what are you talking about? And I was just like, well, you know, I don't want to get warts. And a couple of the people in the group just kind of were like, okay, all right, like that's an odd thing to say. And then I explained it to them. I was like, yeah, you know, Moonlight, it gives you warts. And they were like, no. No, it doesn't give you warts. What are you talking about? And that's when it had hit me that my dad was just messing with me when I was a little kid, but it was never brought up again, you know? So yeah, that's my dad's sense of humor. He said it as a passing joke, and I just was like, as a 6-year-old kid or whatever, when he said Moonlight gives you warts, I was just like, all right, check, got it. Don't stand outside in the full moonlight. And super funny. So I went home that night and I looked at my dad, and this is, you know, a little bit of the relationship we have. I walked into the house and I was like, you son of a bitch, you know. And he's like, what did I do? And I was like, oh yeah, well, we're all outside playing and it's a full moon out, and I pulled my fucking sleeves down. And he was just like, okay, and that's my fault, why? And I was just like, I told them that Moonlight gives you warts because that's what you told me. And then my mom is in the kitchen and she just starts dying laughing. She's like, he told you that when you were like 6 years old. You believed him? And I was just like, yeah, when you're 6, you kind of believe what your dad tells you, you know? You could have told me that the sun was made out of nacho cheese and I probably would have said, let's get some chips, you know? So yeah, my dad's just dying laughing. He's choking. He's laughing so fucking hard. And so yeah, that's my dad and my mom for you, you know? One of the most mortifying experiences of my childhood. And it wasn't even that bad. It was pretty funny in hindsight. So yeah, that was a running joke. for the rest of that school year was, oh, the moon's gonna come out, Brent, you better get home. But I've always remembered that, and now that I have kids, of course I have to keep that going. I gotta mess with my kids a little bit. So of course I told them Moonlight gives them warts. They don't seem to care. You know, and I think that's another testament to the generational differences. Because my children have the internet in their face all the time. Not in their face all the time, but they have access to the internet whenever they want. The entire scope, the entire accumulation of human knowledge is at their fingertips whenever they want. So kids these days will just Google it. Like I've tried to mess with my daughter before. What was I trying to tell her? I can't remember exactly what I was trying to tell her, but you know, give her some off the wall obvious BS fact and she'll just pull her phone out and Google it, you know. And it's like, this isn't even fun anymore. My dad told me Moonlight gives you warts. She would just be like, actually, you're an idiot. And no, it doesn't. But yeah, that's half the fun of being a parent, is messing with your kids. How did this conversation even start? I can't remember where we were to. Fires. Yeah, fires. But living around here, I mean, people get so used to being evacuated for fires. And see, I'm not originally from this area. I'm from the coast where it rains 9 months a year. So when we moved over here, the fires were they were kind of crazy, to me at least. We were worried about flooding on the coast, you know. Crazy rains. We used to get earthquakes. But when we moved over here, it was like, are you sure we're not in Idaho? Because there are no trees, Dad. And then he would, of course, probably make up something. Like, no, all the cave trolls came out and stole the trees when you were asleep. I don't know what happened. That's kind of the guy my dad is. And you just be like, oh, okay, all right. I'm a pretty gullible person. If someone says something with conviction, and I know it's a personality defect with me, it's no one else's fault, it is my fault. But if someone tells me something with a straight face and conviction, I tend to believe them. Just like, oh, I never knew that, you know. My kids, nope. They know to go, which is good. You know, you need to have some semblance of cynicism, some, you know, trust but verify type of thing. I think that's healthy. You know what's not healthy? I'll tell you what's not healthy. Going on a date with someone when you're 16 and pulling your sleeves down because the moon is out and going, well, I don't want warts. You know how it is. The old Moonlight wart thing. And then everyone in the circle just going, what? It's not very good. It all lends itself to resilience. You know, I think having a sense of humor about things and getting messed with as a kid builds resilience. I said in my last video that I wasn't very mentally strong when I was in the service, and in a lot of ways I'm still not, but I think that's a bit of a misnomer. I think everyone is on varying degrees of mental fortitude and mental strength. And I don't think there is a normal and not normal. I just think everyone is trying to do the best they can with what they got, you know. And I've said it a lot on this channel, but it does take all kinds of people, you know. It takes all kinds of people to make this world go round, and I think our differences is fun. I think if everyone was the same, it would just be super boring, you know. So the fact that there are, I mean, the sheer scale of different personalities and opinions and cultures and lifestyles just makes life interesting. If anything, it gives us something to fight about, I guess. I don't know. I think it's kind of crazy, but who am I? Resilience. It's a good month to talk about resilience. Here in about another week, I have there's an anniversary of a friend of mine's death. Tech Sergeant Brian Theo. That one hit hard. He was such a good dude. He used to, speaking of senses of humor, he was in my unit at the 75th Security Forces Squadron. He had since then got orders overseas and was in, he went to a different Air Force base, and he was on his way to becoming a member of the OSI branch, the Office of Special Investigations for the Air Force. It's like Security Forces 2.0, you know. And but when he was at Hill Air Force Base with us, he used to mess around. He had and anyone who knew Brian Theobald knows that this guy's sense of humor was second to none. This guy was awesome. We had this shoot, move, communicate drill where we would hold our M4s out with one hand in a little bit of calisthenics. And so Theo would stand there in front of us, and this guy was hot shit. You know, he was high speed, low drag, and the veterans who watch this will know what that means. And he would stand in front of the formation as we were all holding our weapons, and then you would swap that weapon to your offhand and simultaneously going for your sidearm, right? So that's just a transition. You're transitioning from long gun to short gun. And so we would do these drills where, you know, trying to get a slowest smooth, smoothest fast type of jazz, but try to build confidence in the heat of the moment, switching weapon systems to be able to continue the fight. And we had this airman who shall remain unnamed, who had a very hard time holding his M4 with one hand. Just, he wasn't a patron of the gym, and he was attempting, this was on the tryouts, to get onto the SRT team, and he was not going to make it, let's all be honest. And so he was having a real hard time holding the weapon out in front of him. And Theo picked up on this, and he goes, if any of you, he didn't single him out, he was good about it, but Theo was like, if any of you are having a hard time with holding your weapon out in front of you with one hand, I have a real good life hack for you. Little tip, little trick. There is a building on this Air Force base with weights, lots of big heavy shit. You go there, you pick the weights up, you put the weights down, and you're going to repeat that until you can come back and hold your M4 out in front of you without crying, which made the rest of us just start dying laughing. And then Tech Sergeant Mark Hudson would then tell us all to lock it up, which is a military for shut up, but super funny, you know. It's those memories that I miss about the Air Force, you know, and Mozak talks about things about the military that you miss. You know, you don't miss everything, you miss some things. That's definitely the thing I miss the most, were those little moments where the camaraderie of it all, you know, the team aspect. That's what I miss. I always think about Theo in the month of July. He lost his battle with his self this month. So, you know, every year when it comes to July, I always just find myself thinking about Theo. He was one of the good ones, you know. Pick it up, put it down, repeat until you can come back and not cry. I love it, you know. But yeah, just some random thoughts about resilience and my dad's weird sense of humor, and passing that sense of humor on to your children, and a little bit about Brian Theobald.
So I got those engine deflectors.
Oh, yeah, these.
Yeah. Way better.
She runs.
That's a badass bike. It's the 450X, right?
450X. Plated.
Whoop,
I'm legal.
Whoop, whoop.
See that? Legal.
Look at that, Rob following the law. Proud of you, Rob.
Yeah, they probably had license.
So, Matt, what do you think of Rob's new bike?
It's pretty awesome. It's pretty awesome. It's a little tall for me, but you know.
Oh, I can't touch the ground either. You don't need to touch the ground.
I'm pretty sure it's a little tall for every single person standing on the tail race right now.
Yeah.
Wiring's an issue, but you know.
Thing is cool.
Maybe
though.
that'll be your practical to rewire your bike.
See, now we're talking, because that's useful.
Right?
Yeah, exactly.
It's not what you can learn at work, it's how can you apply it to your own life.
Yeah, how can you apply it to motorcycles?